You've been asking me for months, what is actually on the shelves behind me? I've been a 3D artist for over 10 years, and in that time, I've spent countless hours refining my setup, from the gear I use to the best reference books in my library that inspire me and let me stay efficient for hours on end. But most importantly, why the heck is there a wooden railway table behind the desk of a professional 3D artist? Let's start with my figures. I have a big shrine of Astolfo figures right here. My favorite probably being the casual Astolfo all the way in the back there. I also have some VTuber stuff right here. Okayu, Korone. I love Ilya, they're so cute. I also have some Toga way in the back there. And right next to Astolfo, I have a big Miku shrine. Miku is such a huge, influential part of my upbringing that I really wanted to have a lot of figures of her because she's so cute. Right here, I have my Glitch Productions and Valve software shelf. Weird combo, I know. But I always love buying Glitch Production stuff because I know so much of the proceeds just go directly back into funding their animated series. I also have a little CD collection. These are some Japanese PSX games I got recently. And I also have some Black Rock Shooter figures, Persona, Danganronpa, Splatoon, etc. One of my favorite shelves though is this one right here that's dedicated to trigger shows like Promare, Panty and Stocking, Gurren Lagann, etc. But this shelf is one of the ones I'm most proud of by far, and it's my PS Vita collection. I adore the Vita. It is my favorite handheld of all time. The hardware on it just feels amazing to use. This is like peak Sony design. It has this perfect form factor that's somewhere between a PSP and a Nintendo Switch, where it feels nice and tiny, nice and compact and handheld-like, really light, still small enough where you can realistically fit it in a pocket. I have the Vita 1000, 2000, and the Vita TV. Got my first one as a birthday gift back in 2013 or something like that. And playing Gravity Rush on that thing during that time was just incredible. It was so stylish. It used the PS Vita's gyro features in such interesting, unique ways when it came to the comic panels or just controlling Cat and flying around space in general. The PS Vita 1000 even had an OLED screen with perfect black pixels that made everything look super contrasty. My favorite games would probably be the Hatsune Miku Project Diva games, Dragon's Crown, Danganronpa 1 and 2, Freedom Wars, Persona 4 Golden, Hot Shots Golf, Undertale, Shovel Knight, Valhalla, and Rayman Origins. I could keep going, but there's just so much amazing software on this handheld. I love it to death. And next up, we have the Little Big Planet shelf right here, which is again a hugely influential game on me. The way it encouraged creativity in just every aspect of its design when it came to building your own levels and making your own Sackboy. It was so fun. I still have screenshots on my PS3 of all the weird things I did with my friends. Playing the shark survival or bomb survival levels was always such an amazingly fun thing to do with friends when they were over. I definitely preferred the first game, but the second game is really good too. It's mostly nostalgia. One of my favorite anime of all time though is definitely Ranma 1/2. I have some VHSs, the Super Famicom game, and the CD right here, along with the figure. They also have a DVD collection in that original series right here. I really hope they make a physical version of the new series though, because I honestly quite prefer it. I'd highly recommend watching the new Ranma anime if you haven't yet. It's so good. But here are some quick shots of some of the posters I have. This one right here is signed by Lizzie Freeman. I love these super cute mouse ones by Jarinsky. I have some finals right here, one of Cracker Island and one for Skullgirls. And again, just so many posters. I could spend a whole video talking about all of these. Every time I go to an anime convention, I spend way too much time and money in Artist Alley. It's always so fun to check out all the cool prints and stickers, all the while being able to support independent artists. Like, oh, it's amazing. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. And right here, I have my YouTube play button, which would not have been possible without all of your amazing support. So thank you so much. A little shrine I acquired recently, however, that I'm super excited about is right here, my Megaman Legends shrine. If you didn't know, Megaman Legends is actually called Rockman Dash in Japan, which is a really weird title. But in any case, I have a strategy guide, the Japanese PS1 copy, as well as the Japanese N64 version of the game, the original United States version at the top right there, and this awesome fan-made game store style cardboard cutout I got online that I really like. This game's art style is so iconic, and it's such a strong reference point in all my low poly characters that I'm constantly looking back to because I just love how it looks so much. But here's the part you've been waiting for. I'll put my full computer specs right here, but to be brief, I have a 4070 Ti, an i9-2900K CPU. Honestly, I should have gotten AMD, but whatever. 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM before it was really expensive, 2 terabyte NVMe SSD before it was insanely expensive, and a 1440p and 4K monitor. My mouse of choice is the Logitech G502 Hero, and my drawing tablet is a Wacom Cintiq 16. I use Windows 11 because I have to for some of the programs I use, but man, I really want to switch to Linux. I use a Neewer LED ring light that I really love, and a Canon EOS R50 camera. However, none of this setup would feel as good without the desk it's sitting on. And this is where I have to tell you the story about my old setup. It used to be cramped, unsafe, cable chaos. There wasn't even enough room on my old desk to put my computer tower on. I had to get my dad's help to make wooden boards glued onto the desk just to make the monitor mount actually usable. Cables would get dangerously yanked out when raising and lowering the desk, and my cable management in general was just a disaster. And for all those reasons, I started looking for a replacement desk. I was planning on getting a FlexiSpot desk because my girlfriend Emmy has one and it's incredibly high quality. I literally had it in my cart when FlexiSpot reached out about doing a collaboration, and they kindly sent over a brand new desk that I'll be using for years to come. I love this thing. It's totally stable, no wobbling. The dual motors on this desk can lift up to 330 pounds. There's a massive surface area with plenty of room for the computer, all my monitors, my drawing tablet, my keyboard, everything. My cable management is now so clean because now there's more than enough space for everything I need on the desk. It supports health and work-life balance by making it easier to sit and stand throughout the day. FlexiSpot was also kind enough to send over this mobile file cabinet, which is compact, super sturdy, has wheels that make it easy to move around, and it's fully assembled out of the box. Just attach the wheels and roll it into action. There's 2 utility drawers and 1 file drawer, which is perfect for my art supplies, daily planner, and journal. So make sure to check the link in the description below to check out this desk. I'll also get a kickback if you do, so it's a great way to support this channel and my mission of creating free educational content for everyone. Thank you so much to FlexiSpot for sending over this desk and mobile file cabinet. If you're an artist or animator, this is probably the most useful part of the video by far. Let's talk about some of the most amazing art books I've ever purchased from someone who's been collecting art books for over a decade. First up, we have The Silver Way, which is the best book on character design I have ever read. The way he breaks down character design concepts of contrast, avoiding the ladder, spacing, how to avoid tangents. He explains these things so beautifully and so clearly that it makes you fired up and want to go out there and make your own character designs immediately. The author, Stefan Silver, is actually the character designer behind Kim Possible, so needless to say, they are very qualified to be teaching this. Next up is the Animator Survival Kit. This is non-negotiable. If you animate anything, you probably own this. The information in here about pose-to-pose animation, timing, arcs, how to animate different types of walk cycles, the different poses that go into a run cycle. This book is a massive tome of invaluable information for animators. It is focused on 2D animation, but trust me, so much of this applies to 3D animation, so much of it. This one is a no-brainer if you're a 3D animator. Next up here is a Japanese import called Anime Breakthrough Posing. This one is amazing for animators who kind of want to do very cute characters similar to what I do on this channel. It talks about the key concepts of posing, contrapposto, how to have clear silhouettes, how to make characters look as appealing as possible, how to add contrast between the upper and lower body to make your poses really feel dynamic and lively. Again, this is focused on 2D, but this applies to 3D animation as well. This one right here is actually invaluable, which I was not expecting. It's called Picture Perfect Posing. This is from a wedding photography perspective, but trust me when I say the body composition stuff that is talked about here applies to 2D and 3D art beautifully. I think one of my favorite takeaways from this book was how to pose arms, keep waistlines and silhouettes clear, and how you can use fingers and hands to draw the eye where you want people to look in your composition. You can actually see that right on the cover here. Not only has this helped me take far better photos, but it's also been so helpful with my animations. This next category is art books that are made by a specific illustrator. This first one here, Internal, is absolutely phenomenal. I love Ilya Kuvshinov, maybe my favorite visual artist of all time. I love how they render. I love their compositions. The way they shade their characters just looks so stunning and so beautiful. I just adore their art style. This one right here is by Mariel Cartwright, which you might have heard before if you're into Skullgirls at all. Her art style is stunning. She comes from a 2D animation background. Her father is actually a Disney animator, if I recall correctly, and it shows because these are some beautiful 2D drawings that always feel so lively. I'm obsessed with the posing and they're just so appealing and sick looking. They look amazing. This one's actually a recent edition, but it's by Digitoonie. They just have the most adorable art style ever. I love their work. It's so exaggerated. It's so cute. I love how they do the shading. I love the proportions of their characters. Look at this Megaman Legends art. Awesome. Super good stuff. I absolutely love their style. This art book right here is by Oxcoxa. Yakuza. Met them at a few different conventions, and they're so sweet and so nice, and their art is just breathtaking. It's so beautiful. I love how they shade their characters, and they just have this wonderful, unique art style that I love so dearly. And again, they just have wonderful poses and a super cute original character designs as well as fan art. Just look at some of these sketches. They're so stunning. Absolutely love oxcoxa's art. This one's actually reached an edition. Atsushi Ohkubo, the lead artist involved with Soul Eater. Like, you can't even put it into words, but it's just so cool looking. Just look at these. It's so sick. It's one of the coolest looking anime ever made, and I had to get this art book because I just love it. This is by Jamie Hewlett, the lead artist behind Gorillas and Tank Girl, and oh my god, again, they just have an incredible art style. It's so unique, it has so much personality. I adore their character designs. Noodle is a personal favorite of mine, and all of their illustrations just, again, have that sauce, right? They're just so sick and memorable. Next up, I have some fashion illustration books. These are really nice character design references, so if I'm ever looking for clothing ideas for characters, I like to open these up and just take a quick gander at them. Both of these were pretty inexpensive. I think they're both less than 20, which I felt was like a total steal. This one right here is really cool. It's just a gigantic compilation of different artists on Pixiv. This one's from 2022, and I just adore looking at this for inspiration. There's so many fun shading styles and different character designs here that it's always such a blast to kind of peer through. This next section is for art books for games or TV. Arcane needs no introduction. It's an absolutely beautiful TV show with immaculate character designs, beautiful compositing and shading, and amazing animation quality. And seeing bits and pieces of their process here is so incredible. Absolutely love this book. It's so sick. This one is actually a gigantic art book for Danganronpa 1 and 2, and I particularly love the breakdowns they have for the different character designs. These characters are so iconic today, so seeing the behind the scenes and how they came to life is just really cool and inspiring for me. I love this art book right here because I can't think of a single studio in the industry that has a more unique art style for their games than Vanillaware. And Dragon's Crown is a perfect example of that. Just stunning art style. I love this game. These three books are not exactly art books, but they're a trilogy of books by Austin Kleon that are just invaluable that I would recommend to anyone. They've been hugely influential on my artistic process and how to share my work online, and they're super cheap to get on Amazon. Just so much valuable information and insights on the creative process and how to share your work with others and keep going when it gets hard. You might be surprised to see this one called Me, Myself, and Bob, and I know what you're thinking. Is that the VeggieTales guy? It is. That's Phil Vischer, the creator of VeggieTales. I love this book. It might sound strange, but this is one of the most inspiring books I've ever read. If you didn't know, VeggieTales was one of the first, if not the first, 3D animated TV show ever released in the United States. And it's largely thanks to Phil Vischer. This book tells the amazing and sometimes heartbreaking story about how he got his company Big Idea off the ground, started making the show, and eventually had to close the entire thing down and lay off all the employees, and all the takeaways he had from that experience and what he does today. I don't want to spoil this book, but my god is it good. This book just resonated with me so much, and I think anyone who's looking to make their own 3D animations or animated series would take a lot away from this book. I'll go quickly with this one, but Rebel Without a Crew is the story of Robert Rodriguez. He's the director of all the Spy Kids movies and El Mariachi, and it's the fascinating story about all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into funding his first film, and how he quickly adapted to digital technology way before anyone else did and got way ahead of the curve and was super ahead of his time. Super inspiring read for anyone who's interested in filmmaking. This book right here is Mastering Manga with Mark Crilley, and this is the first art book I ever got. My mom bought this for me when I was 13, and it's the reason why I'm making art today. I don't know if I would even be here without this book. This isn't an art book per se, but I absolutely love this book. I don't want to spoil the story, but the short version is that the main character, Mizuki, has a weird relationship with their gender, and then things happen. I'll keep it nice and vague. Go read it for yourself though. I love this manga to death. But here's something a little different that I definitely want to highlight in this video. This is a Ratsune clay sculpture sculpted by my friend Venus. It stands all on its own because of the way the tail was sculpted, and it's just one of the most sweet, adorable gifts I've ever received. I love it so much. But next, and probably most absurdly, I actually have a Thomas the Tank Engine wooden railway table in my office. I'm not gonna lie, this was supposed to go in the dining room, but we didn't have enough room, so it kind of just ended up in here. But honestly, I kind of love it being here. Sometimes you just need something in your space that lets you play and relax. Every single time I look at this thing, I just get so much nostalgia. It makes me so happy. I love this little pull-out drawer here where I can store all of my extra little N-scale train pieces. If you don't know, these are N-scale trains running in a loop here. But over here, I actually have a storage container with a bunch of wooden Thomas Railway stuff as well. I put a link in the description below that has a ton of awesome free resources on how to learn 3D art. Thank you so much for all your support. You are truly what makes all of this possible, and I really appreciate you. But take care, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.